right, everybody, welcome to the Lockdown Sessions. Wrestling Travels Lockdown Sessions is presented. That would have been something even different. Presented to us today by the good folks over at True Heel Heat Podcast. These guys do a great job. If you listen to one podcast, you're going to put one new podcast into your phone, do True Heel Heat. If you're going to put two in, listen to me and Danny on Wrestling Travel, but True Heel Heat Podcast pulling it off. So we're here with Manders, the Cornbelt Cowboy. Manders, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, hey, thanks for having me on. You guys do great work, and just happy to be a part of it.
Oh, awesome. Listen to that. So, hey, we got to start right at the beginning with you. We talked a little bit off camera, but I want to know, first questions out of the gate here. How long have you been in the business?
I started in May 2017. That was like my first match. So a little over 3 years now.
And you broke in at, was it down in Iowa with Seth?
Yeah,
Rollins?
it was Black and Brave, which is in Davenport, Iowa. And then my first match was in May of 2017. It was like somewhere in Dubuque, Iowa, which is like almost near the border of Wisconsin and stuff where you're from. And yeah, it was a good time. It was a different character for sure. It wasn't really the Cornbelt Cowboy yet. It was kind of just like, here's this guy that played football for the Hawks, and he's wearing Desert Storm pants like the Briscoes. It's pretty funny. It's on YouTube if you guys want to see it ever. So
we'll get a link and post it up here. Absolutely.
Yeah, get a link of the horrendous.
Now
Manders.
this is gonna be a question that could fall flat on its face, and that's a lot of what I do. At the Black and Brave camp, did you run into our good friend Robbie J. Fonts? Do you know who he is?
You kind of cut out there, so I didn't really hear what you said.
Oh, we have a good friend, Robbie J., that used to wrestle. It broke in with the Black and Brave. Do you happen to know him? Did you guys run across?
I never ran across a guy named Robbie J. I think I've heard of him a time or two.
Okay, that's why I said
how like Crotch and Merrick Brave and Seth Rollins, they always have great stories, and Shane Hollister. They always talk about guys from the business back in the day and stuff like that. So I've heard of the name, never seen him though before.
Wrestles over in Chicago now. I actually met Robbie J up in Montreal, of all places. So cool. So you break in at the Black and Brave camp in 2017.
Yep.
What you said your first match? Now, when was your first match?
My first match was in May. So I started training with Black and Brave at the start of the year. So literally after the Outback Bowl against Florida, like 3 days later, instead of doing like my 2 week like break you get, I was like, well, I want to do this wrestling thing, so let's do it. So instead of the 2 week break, I immediately started wrestling, and I kind of had a bum hammy at the time, with football and stuff. I was like banged up from the bowl game. So, but like 3 days later, I did the training or whatever, and then at Black and Brave, it's only a 12-week program, so 3 months, and which was like around Mania week, which was April, and then about a month later, I had a match. So
we're gonna talk about football here, because that's one of my other passions. The fact that you played for the Hawkeyes is pretty big.
Yeah.
We're talking bowl games and stuff. Talk to me a little bit about that career, because I played at the Division III level, and that's like a full-time job. Plus, with going to school,
it is.
So I can't imagine the intensity. My transition from high school, all conference, you think you're on top of the world, and then I go just a baby step up to Division III, and it's a whole different world. What is that transition from? I imagine you were probably a big fish in a small pond in high school, and now you step up to Division I football. What's that transition like?
Yeah, you said a baby step for you. I would disagree, man. Either way, high school, college is a huge step. It's a whole different world, because because now it's still more the elite, right? Like everybody, if you play college football or any college sports, right? All the people that were there, when you get there, right? You were all state in something, whether it's football, basketball, gymnastics, or any sport really. So any sport that you play college for it's a full-time job also too with school, so it's pretty difficult. But yeah, man, I've played 4 years. I was a walk-on. I wanted to play fullback, and they put me at linebacker at first, but eventually they listened to me, I guess, and I played fullback and did a lot of special team stuff. Some great times, man. Just playing ball with George Kittle and Josie Jewell and, the guys that you see on NFL on Sundays today, and, playing at the Rose Bowl and 2 Outback Bowls and the Gator Bowl. And it was a good time. It was a good time. I was at Indy for GCW, and we were driving back, and we passed the Lucas Oil Stadium, and gave me memories from 2015 when we played Michigan State for the Big Ten championship. So it's pretty cool, man. Great times.
That's the one thing I always say about football. Unless you are in that small percentage that moves on to the NFL, or it's lucky with the CFL, or when we had the XFL
Arena or whatever. Yeah,
anything.
I saw the Rock bought it today. So
I just saw that as well. Yeah, $15 million. I don't know if he just wrote a check or had the money in his wallet, but
probably one of the two.
But I'm just saying, like, football's that one sport that when it's done, for most of us, it's done. We don't get to play bar league. We don't get. And I know for me, pro wrestling kind of replaced that crowd and that stuff in my in my book. So what was your – now I'm a Wisconsin Badger fan, and I don't have the history. When you guys – your 4 years there, 4 or 5 years, what was your guys' record against the Badgers? Do you remember?
1-3. 1-3. The year we beat them is when we went to the Rose Bowl. We were like that 12-0 season. Wisconsin was always tough, man. They always had they had a big ass line, and they had some sick teams, man. They had Melvin Gordon and all those guys, man. Like T.J. Watt. They had some sick teams. Wisconsin was always tough to play.
I gotta say, as far as like crowds, I gotta say Wisconsin and Iowa, great fan bases, great crowds. I know.
Always travel well, always, for sure.
I know there's never a time in my fandom with the Badgers that I ever felt like we're going into Iowa and we're going to beat them. There's always that nail biter. Like, I don't care if Iowa was 0-23, we were 100-0. There was never that confidence of going into Iowa, and that's what I love. And I love that Big Ten, and what we're going to get cheated out of this year, as I imagine you could feel, is at Lambeau Field we were supposed to play Notre Dame, and now all
non-conference games.
Yeah, so do you get a chance now to get back to an Iowa game once in a while? How is that for you? Or do you kind of stay away?
So the first year I was not on the team, right, and was doing the wrestling. I only went to like one football game because it kind of, it's kind of bittersweet, right? And then the second year, I moved to Ohio to train with Sami Callahan and stuff, so I didn't really get to see any games at all. And then it made me miss it. So when I moved back to Iowa, I went to this past fall, I went to about 5 games. So it was nice just to, old memory lane, right? Which was cool. And, obviously if you played football and stuff, you get tickets for life. And, I got to sit in the press box and, get to get in for free and, eat some good food, watch the boys, get a W. So it was pretty cool.
sounds good.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen. Like, it's going to be weird this year with no fans and stuff like that. And hopefully there is a season. I mean, I can't imagine America without football. It'd be crazy. We already have problems now. I can't imagine without it.
Yeah, I don't even like to think about it, but the more I start to think with what's going on right now in Major League Baseball,
Yeah.
and I don't want the big brother here, the government, to shut me down. I don't like to get political, but I do believe a lot of the stuff happening is political. I think if we can get past the election, then maybe things will calm down, no matter who's in office. But I do think a lot of it, because I think they're about to shut probably Major League Baseball down or make some big concessions there. NBA, I imagine we'll go down the same route. But yeah, I don't know what we'll do without football. Thank God we have wrestling. And some places like here in Wisconsin, we're able to have fans. This week we're gonna
same way.
This week we're gonna have Warrior Wrestling in the Chicagoland area that we're gonna talk a lot about here in a little bit. So thank goodness that's going on. But
yeah, I agree.
I just college football, pro football, anything. It's just what will we do without it? I guess we'll wait and see. But
yeah,
I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. Well, we'll get back to wrestling here. Let's get back to wrestling. So, when you break in you did a little training with Sami Callahan as well. So I know when you break into wrestling, it's all about who breaks you in, but it's all about that next level and all the other people that you train with and the knowledge that you gain on the road. So you did a little traveling to Ohio or Indiana, Ohio.
Yeah. So like, I remember my first, like outside of Iowa, my first ever like outside booking was IWA Mid-South. And when I did that, that's how I met Sami. And, you're on the road, right? So you meet everybody, dogs on IWA Mid-South, but like, that's where I met guys like, Mance Warner and AJ Gray and Sami Callahan and Larry D and like the list goes on and on and on. But basically, it's the Mid-South, right? So you get guys from the East Coast, you get guys from the South, you get guys from the Midwest from me, you get guys from up north. So you get a bunch of people from all walks of life. So like with that, that's how I met so many people. And you learn from the experiences and you go to seminars and stuff, right? Like I did Gresham's seminar. I did a bunch of guys seminars and stuff, and that's how you meet people and everything. And yeah,
seminars are a great thing going on. It's just a chance to kind of sit under the learning tree. I will highly suggest this to you and everybody watching. Good friend of the show, Tyson Dukes up in Canada, has his own wrestling school, but he just started on YouTube last week. He's only got like 80-some subscribers. I keep trying to push it, but he's going through some of the basics, and he's almost got like this free learning tree up there on YouTube. He's just going over the little things. And I've always said, wrestling as well as life, do the little things right. That's a football adage, right? Get these little things right. And then, you get them right like they're second nature. Now we can start worrying about big stuff. But Tyson Dukes up there killing it. Anybody watching this that's a wrestler,
I'm definitely gonna take a look for sure.
Gotta check it out. They're just, I think the longest clip I saw so far was like 4 or 5 minutes, but he's just going over all these little tiny basics that I remember training with it. Some of it might get lost in the shuffle as we go through, and people are going, hey, I want to see a moonsault and super kicks and stuff, but he's got these little hammerlock basics that I think everybody can put in their tool chest and get better. So, and for free right now on YouTube. So, I get all excited when I talk about stuff like that. It gets good. So you get on the road, you meet a lot of new people. What's it like? What's that transition? When I was training, they said to me, a lot of high quality athletes will flunk out of pro wrestling training because it's you got to twist the mind a little bit. It's a little bit different.
Right.
Everybody thinks I know what's going on. This is not on the up and up. And now, I don't ever use the F word, but we've got the endings kind of figured out. It's predetermined, but the shit in between, that's real,
Right.
and that's tough. And that's if that's not tough on your body. I mean, I know football's tough on our bodies, but this is a whole different animal.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's many factors, I guess. Like, I don't even know where to begin. Like, I think a lot of it is like why a lot of athletes like drop out, like former like pro athletes, is because maybe they thought it'd be a little easier, and then obviously it's not. I think just from being in wrestling and being in the football experience, I think there's more bullshit in wrestling than there is in football. That's just my opinion. Either way, I mean, there's still politics and all that stuff, right? So like, but that's in anything in life, right? I mean, like, so that's not like it's like that big of a thing, but there is a lot of like stuff you have to do, right? And if you think about it, right, like, so football, like majority of people that played, sports or whatever, they've been playing since they were a little kid, and then they just build it up all the way. So it took about 15 years, maybe or so, or whatever, to you to be good at something. And I think when you hit that point, like let's say if you played pro football for a couple of years and you retired at like 27, then you try to pick up a whole new thing. It's really hard, right? Because in wrestling, especially when you look at, guys that are, let's say WWE, for example, guys like AJ, guys like, Seth Rollins, guys like Daniel Bryan, they've been doing this for about 15 to 20 years their whole life. So it's like you have to add it takes a while to be good at something, right? So like, so maybe it's that, maybe it's not worth the hustle or the, just restarting something. So there's that too. And then, yeah, it's the whole F word thing, right? Like, if you can't get over that, then it's like, then what are you doing here, right? There's no difference with it with, when you watch a movie, right? It's not real, the movie, but you're still invested in it. It's kind of the same thing, it's pro wrestling.
What I love about it is guys like you that are doing the drives, doing the hard work and stuff like that.
Man.
Where
Yeah,
WWE might bring in, hey, this person's a bodybuilder or a fitness model, never watched a day of wrestling in their life, and now they're going to get a little bit of a push. But you mentioned the guys like Daniel Bryan. These guys have been hustling on the independent scene for so long that they've got so many matches underneath their belt. What I'm wondering is, with this 2020 year and you being so young in your career and many other people, this is the time. It's so tough you can't get all these matches in your belt that you would want to.
No.
Because you're having what have you been doing during this, we call it the lockdown sessions, because I really started out wanting to find out what are people doing during the lockdown to stay close to wrestling. Now you've come back and been able to wrestle here and there, but these last few months when there was no chance of any of us wrestling, what were you doing to stay sane?
I probably wasn't staying sane, to be honest. I was probably going insane. I really was. But I don't know, I watched a lot of wrestling. Also too, like, it might have been nice on your body to recover a little bit. They always talk about that in sports and stuff. Recovery is key. So it was, I think, like the first like month, it was kind of nice. Like, kind of. It was like a bittersweet though. It's like, obviously you want to wrestle all the time, but like it kind of was nice on my body. But then after like that 2-3 weeks, I was like, all right, what are we doing? Let's go. Like, but when they started, it's different in every state, right? But when Iowa started opening back up and they opened back up the gym, I was just in the gym constantly, just running spots or running cardio drills and, just anything necessary I can do to be in the ring. That's what I was doing. Thought of some other ideas, some new stuff that maybe I can incorporate in the game. So, but yeah, I was pretty insane. Those 3 months, it was pretty insane. Still kind of insane.
It's only so many promos you can cut in the bathroom mirror over that many months. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before you just Uh, let's jump right into it here because I'm excited. This Friday night, August 7th,
Yeah, I'm pumped.
at Warrior Wrestling. Now, have you appeared for Warrior Wrestling before?
No, I've never done Warrior. There was a couple times it could have been possible, but I had other stuff. So being at Warrior is cool. They have a great product. They have a great show. They bring in awesome people, obviously, as you know, and people know too. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. Debuting at Warrior Wrestling, and let's tear it up, man. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean,
Show
I
what the
can't.
Cornbelt Cowboy is all about. Let's go.
Warrior Wrestling brings in the best. I always say the best of people that are on TV right now,
Yep.
and the best of people that are probably going to be on TV tomorrow. They have this great mix. I've discovered people like Sam Adonis with our sponsorship, going there watching them. You are going to – I had it written down here. I don't even know. There's the Spartan Stadium Scramble. I think there's one other S word in there I'm missing. You are in there with a lot of up-and-coming young men and a Miss Elayna Black. Talk to me. And when I talked to Steve, we did a preview, and I said, what are the rules of the Spartan Stadium Scramble? And he goes, we're not even 100% sure yet. We're still working it out, but it's going to tear down the house. What are your thoughts going into the match coming up this Friday?
Yeah, man, it's me and 9 other people, so it's like it's an out of ordinary scramble, that's for sure. It reminds me of those like scrambles I used to do at Revolver where it was like 13, 14 people or whatever. So it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be insane. I do like my odds though, because I seem like one of the strongest guys. I mean, there's that Beastman guy. He's a big dude. So, but yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. We got Warhorse, Dan the Dad. Guys have been making splashes on the indie scene. Matt Nix. I got my other cowboy buddy there too, and then we got Elayna Black. She's been tearing up as well. So I'm pretty excited about it. That's for sure. We're gonna hit some lariats and hit some maybe some stuff that maybe people haven't seen the Cornbelt Cowboy do. So yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully get the dub, hit the pay window, as old Manser would say.
I talked with Warrior Wrestling champion Brian Pillman, who shares something with you, the football background. What does it mean to you to come to the Chicagoland area for an event titled Friday Night Lights and get to perform in the football stadium?
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's definitely gonna have that crossroads feel of doing stuff that I used to do my whole entire life basically, and being at a wrestling show, being a part of that. It reminds me of those old days where like when you would watch the old NWA like Mid Atlantic Jim Crockett shows where like they'd be doing stadiums in North Carolina or whatever. And you obviously me, right, being a football guy, I love Dr. Death Steve Williams. So you watch those old videos of the Coliseums where it's Dr. Death playing or wrestling against Nikita Koloff and like you see Ric Flair and stuff. So it's gonna have that like historical like crossroads of stuff that I love. So I'm pretty pumped about it for sure.
I'm excited as well that Warrior Wrestling doing everything to make sure everybody's safe, the fans, the performers, and everything. And hopefully, I want to say pack that stadium, but I don't know how, with the restrictions, how much they can pack it, but as much as they can. And here's the thing:
is it a two-sided stadium or is it just one?
I got to be honest. So I've been down there twice, and everything was in their gym, so I never really looked at the stadium. I think it's both sides, but I'm not sure. It's a big school. It's a decent stadium.
Say it's a pretty good high school football team. Pretty sure, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
maybe we get one side. Maybe one side would be full.
Well, they're gonna have cones out on the field where you wear your mask in your party that you came in with. They'll get you escorted to your cone. You can take your mask off there because everything Steve said now some mathematician must have helped them out. Every place there, you're 15 yards away. So you're overly covered from everything.
Yeah.
You're able to take the mask off while you're there with the people that you've been cohabitating and breathing the same air with this whole time. So yeah, I can't wait to see it. And Under the Lights. I mean,
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. It's definitely that crossroads of the memories of playing football and then doing what you do now. So I'm pretty excited about it.
and if you had a chance, I'm sure you have, but just for the people watching this, from top to bottom, Warrior Wrestling, every time I see them, and Steve says they try to outdo themselves. I mean, there's not
Yeah,
a dark match or I mean, everything's going to be fantastic, and I've never seen a stinker from Warrior Wrestling, and I know I never will. But they go all out to get the best talent, and
they do.
throw
They really do.
I mean, I just said that there's going to be this weekend, if there's an epicenter and there's on the Richter scale, some type of earthquake, I got to start with Brian Cage and Jeff Cobb in that stadium.
Yeah,
How do you reinforce that?
Men right there. I don't know. hopefully tame down the bulls. I mean, it's gonna be two bulls running at each other. It's gonna be like them videos where like you see the two rams just smashing their skulls on like the Discovery Channel or something. It's gonna be insane.
So let me ask you this now. Who have you, if I'm looking right now, before we get to Warrior, we're Monday morning here, Monday actually afternoon for us.
Yeah.
If we had to go through and you had to pick, right now they say to you, hey, Cornbelt Cowboy, we're going to do a DVD, the best of. What would you say? Give me a couple of your matches that stand out in your history that you're pretty proud of, and go, hey, you got to check this out.
I liked me versus Homicide at GCW. It was Jimmy all the way. It was like a Christmas show. It was past Christmas. That was pretty cool, wrestling a legend like that. I'd also say too, probably me versus Warhorse at Beyond. It was Heavy Lies the Crown, which was their New Year's Eve show. That match was cool. Maybe me versus Kurt Stallion at SCI, which was in October. It was Tankman's Throwdown. I'm pretty sure it's what it was called. Trying to think what else. So many matches. I'm almost up to like 400 matches. Top of my head,
400 matches in 3 years. That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Get the work in.
Yeah.
Let's change the question a little bit.
Three. That's three.
Three's good enough. This is just for everybody to kind of look up. What
those are three good ones.
Out of everybody in the Spartan Stadium Scramble match, you're familiar with Warhorse. You've wrestled him. Have you tangled with many of the other people in this match, or is this going to be?
No, it's the only people is Warhorse and Dan the Dad. Those are the only guys. I wrestled Dan the Dad a couple times at like Alpha One, at Ethan Page's place, and a couple times at Glory. But everybody else, I mean, I've seen Nick's stuff. Obviously, Matt Nix is a freelance and everything, and he's been around for a while, so I know a lot of his stuff, and obviously Elayna Black too, and Davey Bang I've seen too at freelance and Black Label and a couple places too. But yeah, everybody would be kind of like the first time, so gotta leave a good impression. That's for sure.
No, that'll be great. That's great for the fans. And yeah. Like I said, I'll say it again. I'll say it several times. If you are not able to make it to Spartan
Fight TV, man.
Fight TV. And actually, Wrestling Travel, we are giving away a free code to watch Warrior Wrestling. So hopefully some of our fans around the world can check it out. Speaking of Wrestling Travel, as you know, we are the premier travel business. We bring wrestling fans from all over the world to wrestling events all over the world. The last one we were able to do was Tokyo Wrestle Kingdom. We had huge plans for WrestleMania, but we know how that story turned out. Let me ask you this. Have you been able to, in your short career, if you haven't been able to take it to Canada, Mexico, or any other countries, can you let me know what are some of the cities that you've gotten to wrestle in? This is our travel plug question. What are some of the great cities that this sport has brought you to?
Shoot. So since the 3 years I've been wrestling, I've wrestled in 30 states and Canada. So that's kind of cool. Before the whole pandemic hit, I had some places that would have been really sweet that I'd never been before. A lot of them was the West Coast, like Vegas and freaking Montana and like Washington and Oregon and stuff like that. So that would have been pretty cool. But places I've been that I've really liked is I like Nashville, obviously. Obviously being a country guy, like Nashville's like one of my favorite places. Toronto was cool. And then I've been to places where it's like Toulon, Illinois, where it's just straight up cornfields and gas tanks. like yeah, like I'm literally in a greenhouse and I'm wrestling in it. So yeah, I would say those two, Nashville and Toronto, was pretty cool. Obviously Chicago's great, right? Shoot, let me think. Philly was cool. The Voltage Lounge is pretty tight. It's just like the fans are just absolutely, they're on top of each other like a can of sardines, and they're just ready to watch some like wrestling. I've liked that too. I like Atlanta. Atlanta was cool. A lot of places I've been to I've liked a lot. I love Texas, but maybe a little too big for me. But
it's always a tough question to answer because it's almost like what is your favorite kid? Because I know a lot of people don't. When I say what's your favorite, it's not like we're shitting on any city. It's just like these are some cool places.
Yeah,
I'm a boy from Wisconsin, and I've gotten to see Australia.
Milwaukee's cool.
Milwaukee, there you go.
And Milwaukee's
now, where
cool.
did you wrestled up here in Wisconsin? Do you remember any of the promotions that you wrestled for?
Yeah, I wrestled for Silas Young's place. I'm trying to remember what the name was called. Drawing a blank. I think it was MKE. It was Milwaukee Entertainment is what. But the acronym of Milwaukee is MKE. So it was MKE Wrestling. I did that a couple times. Yeah, Milwaukee's crazy. Like Wisconsin wrestling's crazy. Like is it Horror Slam? It's not a Horror Slam. No, it's ICW. ICW Milwaukee it's got that GCW feel to it, which I've liked. They like their hardcore wrestling, which I think is pretty cool. And then I wrestled for Great Lakes once. Was that like a fair? Those are the places.
And I'm a homer, so I'll stick up, but I will say it with the asterisk behind it. It's not like I know anybody else's state how it's going, but as far as Wisconsin is concerned, we've got a plethora of talent, and I got to use plethora twice right there. But we got some great talent, and it's just going to get bigger. We're lucky enough to run some shows right now, get some fans out there. But there's going to be a lot of names on the Wisconsin indie scene that if they are able to put their nose to the grindstone and stick with it, they're going to become. That's always the big if in wrestling. My big if was, can I afford to keep doing what I'm doing without having to get a swing shift job at a mill that cuts my wrestling? It's like, how do I stay alive? Right. And keep wrestling? And it's just, for some of us, it doesn't work out. Hopefully for guys like you, it does. You're able to keep the nose to the grindstone, keep a good balance, and keep wrestling.
It has been tough, that's for sure. Especially like, working on the farming and the planting seeds for Pioneer and stuff like that. It's pretty tough, especially trying to get your hours in, and you got to make these log miles, and you maybe have to leave a day early, or they're doing a Sunday show, and it's like, man, can I make it back in time? There's a lot of factors that go into play, and it's how it is. It's hard to be a pro wrestler.
Yeah, and that's why I say everybody that makes it. I mean, no offense to the fitness models and bodybuilders that make it. Hey, you know what? Good on you. You made it in. You got to look. But for the guys that are out there grinding it, 24/7. People don't understand what goes into it behind the scenes. And what they don't understand is a lot of people. I'll say that I ask this question a lot, and I'll ask you. A lot of people, you want to go see, the fan wants to go see the WWE, the AEW, and I'm like, go, check it out. You're going to sit in the bleachers, and you're going to watch a lot of cool things happen. You certainly aren't going to be shaking hands with guys outside, but what's the difference between that? Because I get a lot of people, I'm like, hey, we got an indie wrestling show coming up. Oh, I don't want to go to that amateur pro wrestling. And I'm like, it ain't amateur. We got some big names that are up and coming. Some, what I always said about the indie scene is you got guys that are on the rise, guys that are coming down, and we kind of meet in the middle. We got this great mix of stuff. But to the average fan, what are they missing out if they don't go to an independent wrestling show?
I've never heard of like people say it like as amateur wrestling, which is probably a good thing. But
I've heard it a couple times, and I'm like,
yeah, that's crazy. I don't know how I feel about that. But anyway, though, to your question, I think what people would like is there's more of a closer being a part of like the process and the show, right? It's more intimate, I think, in indie wrestling versus like WWE and AEW, where they're like those corporations where you're in these large arenas, right? So it's like you don't really get to. It's hard to gravitate towards like the wrestler or the and everything. But I think in indie wrestling, it's more intimate. You really get to like be a part of like the moment. I think, my opinion. That's what I would say. Would be the thing for it.
I'm 100% with you. As the no crowd shows have been on TV, if it wasn't obvious before, it is obvious now that in all sports, especially pro wrestling, the fan is a huge part of the show.
100%. Oh yeah.
If I'm
it's really hard. It's really hard to watch the no fan shows. It's really hard, to be honest.
It is. And as a guy who has now made the transition into covering pro wrestling, there's a lot of times I'll be a guest on a podcast and they're like, "What did you think of AEW last night?" And I'm like, "I'll tell you what, I didn't watch it. I tried.
Right. But,
and they're doing as best they can. I understand. They got to keep the show going. And it's no disrespect to them when I say it's hard to watch. It's just hard without the fans. But I do think that my prediction is if and when we get back to normality, there's gonna be an ESPN 30 for 30 or some type of documentary on this time without fans, and I will probably find out there was some really cool stuff that happened.
Yeah.
It's just tough to watch. And back on the indie scene, if I'm in the crowd as a fan and you're wrestling and I'm gonna boo the Cornbelt Cowboy, you're gonna hear me. You might come out and yell at me and stuff like that. Fans being part of the show, you're really part of the show in indie wrestling. So if you're lucky enough to be in a place where independent wrestling is running near you as a fan, you need to go. Make sure you're safe. Make sure all the precautions are taken. But if you get a chance to go to some live independent wrestling, you want to do it now, especially like these outdoor shows. I mean, how awesome is it going to be? Now, I want to be respectful of your time. I've got a couple more questions for you.
Cool.
First one's going to be easy. I know what your answer is going to be, but we're out of the United Kingdom. You obviously have a passport if you wrestled in Canada. Any objections to wrestling in the United Kingdom once the world becomes a safer place?
Oh no, totally. When it was actually supposed to happen, when GCW was supposed to do a UK touring in August, and there was talks of me doing it, so it would have been pretty sweet. So yes, to answer your question, yeah.
Chalk that up to hopefully in 2021 we'll get you over there. The last one of the last questions I always ask, is what are your social media handles, ways to get merch for any fans that watch this? Go, hey, I want to support the Manders. I want to got a cool story. How can I follow you on social media as a fan?
Yeah, as a fan, you can follow me on Twitter at the number one called _ Manders, and then it's the same thing on Instagram as well, and then Facebook. If you type in Cornbelt Cowboy, not many people have that name, so I'm the only guy basically, and you can find it there too. Like, follow if you want. I have the links of the pro wrestling tees. For if you want to get like merch and stuff, like t-shirts and stuff, if you click on the link on either Twitter or Instagram, it's also there. Also, there's this other guy, his name's Corey, called Double Hell Wrestling. They do shirts for me, Mance, AJ now, Tony Depp and Danhausen, a bunch of us. There's also some pretty sweet shirts there too. If you want to take a look as well, if you type in doublehellwrestling.com, it'll come up. We got some pretty dope shirts there too as well. So that's where you can follow me at and everything if you want to.
Absolutely. Everybody wants to keep an eye on what's going on. I'm going to ask you for your final words going into this show coming up on Friday, as this is Warrior Wrestling Week on Wrestling Travel. What are your thoughts going? Final thoughts.
It's been tough, right, with the whole pandemic, and not many people have the opportunity to be able to wrestle. And maybe some of the people in the match, it's their first wrestling match they've had since the pandemic, right? So since March or whatever, and was that 6 months now? So people are going to be hungry. People are going to be eager. I would like to say too, with everything, I'm pretty hungry and eager, and I'm ready to make a statement at Warrior Wrestling debut. The first impression goes a long way. So hopefully this would be, first of many at Warrior. And, man, Cornbelt Cowboy's ready to hit another highway, another town, ready to stomp some mud holes and walk it dry, as Stone Cold would say. But, put your boots on, saddle up, let's go. I don't care who it is. We're taking them out.
Awesome. That's Warrior Wrestling this Friday night, August 7th. Friday Night Lights. If you're in the Chicagoland area, get there. I heard if you're an adult paying ticket and you have a child under 16, they get in free with you. How can you beat that? And
Can't beat that.
Lights.
That's
And
cool, man.
if not, if you can't make it, you physically can't make it,
Fight TV.
Fight TV, baby. Fight TV.
Yeah, Fight TV. It don't get better than that, man.
Keep an eye on Wrestling Travel. Go to our Twitter. We're giving away a code. We're going to give it away 4 hours before the event, so you got plenty of time to get in there. You have to follow Fight TV, Warrior Wrestling, and Wrestling Travel. And, all the directions are there. But, hey, why not take a shot and try to get this great pay-per-view, or pay-per-view if that's what they call it nowadays. But get this event. So, Manders, we can't thank you enough for joining us. We wish you the best of luck on Friday.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.